Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmadu wa nusalli ala Rasul al-Kareem. We were discussing the masla of Nabidh tamar. That if you have Nabidh tamar by you and there's no other water, and the Nabidh tamar is thin, it is flowable, and it is not fermented already, it's not intoxicating, then according to Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa, despite it not being water, the default ruling is that this is not water. So if it is not water, you cannot make wudu with it, right? But here, Imam Hanifa says because there is a clear text to suggest that Nabi Sallallahu years use it to make wudu, so we put our normal law, we put our logic aside, and we will practice upon this hadith, and we will say it is permissible to make wudu with this. Then we discover Ammar ikhtisalu bihi, as for bathing with it, فَقَدْ قِيلَ يَجُوزُ وَإِنْدَهُ, it is said it's permissible to bath with it, اعتبارا بالوضوء, you know, applying your logic with wudu, that with wudu you can, so you can make with this. وَقِيلَ لَا يَجُوزُ لِأَنَّهُ فَوْقَهُ, and he said, no, you cannot bath with this in case you need like a fazil faras ghusl, you got no water, you only got nabis. Will you use the nabis or will you make tayammum? So yeah, he said no, you cannot, because this is hadath akbar. It's a greater form of hadath, and that's different to wudu. So that will only be restricted to wudu, right? والنبيذ المختلف فيه أن يكون حلوا رقيقا تسيل على الأعضاء كالماء. So this is important. They're saying this whole masla here about this ikhtilaf, where Imam Sab says you can make wudu with it, Sahibain say you can't make wudu. It does not refer to any type of nabiyth. It only, so the nabiyth al-mukhtalaf fihi, that means the one where there's ikhtilaf in, أن يكون, it is that one which is already sweet, no problem, but raqiqan, it is still thin. تسير على الأعضاء, it can, like if you pour it on your limbs, it will still flow. It's not so thick that it will just sit there like a paste. You understand what I'm saying? Not like a pastry. تسير على الأعضاء كالماء. Then وما اشتد منها, that which has become thickish, frothy, the frot, F-R-O-T-H, right? وما اشتد منها صار حراما, that is haram. لا يجوز التوضؤ به, because it is haram to consume, because by the time it becomes thick. So what he's saying is, if you make nabis, etc., right, and you leave it to ferment for a long period of time, it will become intoxicating. So when it becomes frothy, F-R-O-T-H-Y, and becomes intoxicating, then it is not permissible to make wudu with it if you've got no other water. You know, you make tayammum, and also it becomes haram to consume as well, right? Then the next masala interesting. وَإِنْ غَيَّرَتُ النَّارُ فَدَامَ حُلًا الْخِلَافِ. So even if you cooked, like you took the water and you put the dates in, or you took, right, and you cooked it, as long as it's still thin, and as long as it's not intoxicating, the exact same must not apply. The coins. So cooking it does not mean that you that now, even according to Imam Hanifa, you can't use it for wudu. You understood? So cooking is not a criterion, or heating it on the fire, because normally when you cook something, it creates a dramatic change in it. But here Imam Hanifa say that's not the criterion. The criterion is when it becomes thick and it becomes intoxicating. Then right. So in غيرته النار, if the fire changed it, right, it made it more intense. فما دام حلوا, as long as it's still sweet. Yeah, what do you mean? Also, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, والنبيذ المختلف أن يكون حلوا and يا حلوا, when it's still sweet, because before it ferments and it becomes intoxicating sweet, but once it ferments and it has a strong pungent taste and smell, that's a sign of it being intoxicating. And so I'm saying that's a sign of it being intoxicating. So this, when it's still sweet, means it's still thin. So what do you mean? Yeah, as long as it's still sweet. What do you mean? So, you know, I told you that sometimes maybe the masala is not so relevant, but other masala become relevant. So there we learn something interesting also, that as long as the nabis is still thin and sweet, that shows it's not intoxicating. But when it becomes, maybe I'm not sure, butter or whatever, I never tasted. I don't know. Maybe did you taste intoxicating nabis? You ever took a? stopped before now. So maybe then when it becomes like that, where it makes you intoxicating. So from this you understand it also maybe alcohol that intoxicates you, it has a strong taste. It's not like an intoxicating thing, you know what I'm saying? So so this shows you that when it's still sweet and thin, that shows you it's not intoxicating. But when it becomes strong, then that's the time it becomes intoxicating. See that? وإن اشتد فإن أبي حنيفة يجوز التوضؤ به لأنه sorry what you got وإن اشتد فإن أبي حنيفة يجوز التوضؤ به لأنه يحل شربه إنه yeah. So what he's saying, okay, so if it becomes intense but is not intoxicating as yet, then Imam Hanifa says you can still make wudu because you can still drink it. It's not ishtadda. This means yeah. We just see what he's saying now. What you also got there? Choose jaza you lie choose what you got. You choose. Yeah. Yeah, what he's saying in the Shara is that even though it becomes thick as a result of cooking it, this is linked to the previous one. They say is it وإن غيرت النار. This is the extension of that. وإن غيرت النار, if the fire changed it. The same thing here. If it became a bit thick, but is not intoxicating as yet, it is not intoxicating as yet. وإن اشتد فإن أبي حنيفة, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, you can still make wudu with it. So even though it's a bit thick, but it's not intoxicating. لأنه يحل شرب عنده. Right? وإن محمد لا يتوضأ به لحرمة شربه عنده. So this relates to this. Imam Muhammad says that when this nabis, as a result of cooking it, becomes a bit thick, whether it's intoxicating or not, you still can't drink it. You still can't drink it. So because you can't drink it, that means you can't make wudu with it also, right? Wala yajuz wudu, right. Then the next part of the ibadah is very interesting. Remember I told you that when something is proven quantity logic, it will be only restricted to that instance, not to. So same is saying, yeah, Nabizu Tamar permissibility for it has been proven. So we will restrict the permissibility only to that, to nothing else. So ولا يجوز التوضي بما سواه من الأنبذة. So wudu will not be permissible, but what is besides from the other type of nabis? Maybe we get nabizul, what is grapes, summer, inab, sorry, nabiz inab, the bees of inab, or even any other type of fruit. Maybe you put nabiz fakiha, whatever, or nabiz tufahi, whatever, right? Jaryan, why? Ala qadiyati al-qiyasi, the practicing upon the law of qiyas. It means, what is it? The law is this here. Here's it. He mentioned in the Shara, the course. وما ثبت على خلاف القياس فغيره لا يقاس عليه. What? ما ثبت على خلاف القياس, that which is established contrary to qiyas, فغيره لا يقاس عليه, besides that will not be compared to each other. So that, right? You make qiyas. So you won't say Nabi also made wudu with the beads of dates, so you can make wudu with the beads of grapes. You can make wudu with the beads of apple, etc., etc. Alhamdulillah, that brings us to the end of that chapter. The chapter was with regards to food, etc., water, and then he brought wide away Nabi. So the next chapter is a very important chapter also. Babu Tayyamumi, very important, a very relevant chapter to us as well, because sometimes you are ill, you can't use water, you're in the hospital, etc., etc. Allah Ta'ala protect, then these missile will be relevant. So Babu Tayammum basically means what we sometimes the ulama translate is this dry ablution. What do they call it? Dry ablution. To perform ablution in a dry manner without using water. So the asal, the original is to make wudu with water, right? But sometimes it's not possible for you to make wudu with water. You don't have access to water. Or maybe you have access, but you don't have the qudrat. You're not able to use it. You are ill or whatever. So this is a substitute. What is the term? So now you normally when you're discussing something, you always discuss the original first. You always discuss the original first, and then you discuss the substitute second, right? Right. So you discuss the original first, and then you could consider discuss the substitute. So right. So as in the keeping with the principle, you could discuss the asal first, and then you'll discuss the badal or the fara. And also another reason why we discuss wudu first, and when we discuss tayammum second, if you look at the Quran, Allah Ta'ala spoke about wudu first. Allah Ta'ala brought wudu first, and then he discussed tayammum, right? يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم. Then he says, فإن لم تجدوا ماء, if you not find water, فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا, then you make wudu with pure earth. So the asr is wudu and the fara is tayammum. And obviously, you bring the asl first, you bring the original first, and you bring the substitute second. Like every word, it has just a liturgical translation, a lexical translation. Yeah, tayammum just means to intend. You can say tayammam to hadha, I intended this, tayammam to nikaha, whatever. But in Shariat, in fiqh, when we speak about tayammum, it means al-qasdu ila sa'id al-tahiri lit-tatahuri. It means to intend to use pure earth lit-tatahuri for the purpose of gaining cleanliness, right? Interesting fact for you here. Tayammum is proven from the Quran and it is proven from the hadith, copious amount of hadith, and it is proven from ijma'. There is consensus amongst all the ulama of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. Sahib Fath al-Qadir, Allama Hummam, the main Shari of Hidayah Sharif, he mentioned in the battle of Muraysiyah, listen to this nicely, in the battle of Muraysiyah, which was about the 5th year of Hijri. Remember this incident when Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha lost her necklace, and as a result of that, the Nabi Sallallahu delayed the entire kafra. He delayed the entire caravan to look for the necklace, and as a result of that, they did not reach their destination on time, and then they ran out of water. And because they ran out of water, the concession of Tayammum had come. That is why it was mentioned to us, Aisha Siddiqa, through the barakah of you, through your barakah. In other words, because we looked for your necklace as a result, and as a result of looking for your necklace, we did not find water. We didn't have water, and then obviously Allah the concession of Tayammum came, right? So it was the 5th year of Hijri at the Battle of Muraisi that the concession for Tayammum was granted. There is another hadith mentioned, جُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا. Nabi mentioned that the earth, all of it has been made a masjid for me. In other words, obviously, this doesn't take the virtue away for the men of praying in the masjid. If you don't have access to a masjid, whatever, doesn't mean you can't pray. I don't know. I heard something. I don't know how authentic it is. Like I think the Jews or something. Like certain prayers of theirs, they can only do it in the synagogue. They can't pray out of the synagogue. So as we as believers, no matter where you are, you can be in the wilderness, you can be in the jungle, or you can be in the mangal, or you can be on the moon. You still have to read your salah, right? So جُعِلَتْ لِي الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا أينما أدركت أينما أدركني الصلاة تيممت وصليت. Nabi Sam said, wherever I get salah comes to me. Even if I have water, I have no water, whatever, no matter where I am, tayammamtu wa sallaytu, I will make tayammum and I will read salah. So remember, this means that there's no place to say that you can't read salah. You can read salah anywhere, right? So uh, this is so nobody has excuse not to read salah. Ne? Nobody has excuse not to read salah. You can't say that I was there was no masjid close by or we had no water, right? No matter where you are, you can be in a hospital, you can be on the moon, and even if you don't have water, you got tayammum, and even if you need a faraz ghusl, yeah, you can still read your salah. That is why that is why we say that, like in your lifetime you can pay your fidya, you can pay your fidya for your fasting finish. But what ulama say, for your fidya for salah, as long as you are living, you cannot what you call it, you cannot pay it, right? Why? Because the conditions of salah is so minimal that if you anywhere you are, you can read. You follow what I'm saying? You can even read, even if you read in the toilet, your salah is valid. And then also wudu, even if you have no access to water, you make tayammum. And then even if you are sick, if like we'll do this, we done it last year. Even if you can't move your body, you can even with your head. So unlike fasting where it's a bit difficult, but because salat is there's so much latitude in it. There's so much latitude in it that you can read it anywhere, anyhow. Only yes, you can't move your head, and then also if it's like that for more than six salah, then you are maaf. Okay, there's a question for this hadith here. Somebody want to know this hadith that I read here. جعلت الأرض مسجدا وطهورا أينما أدركتني الصلاة تيممت وصليت. Actually, yeah, it's in the Urdu Shara, and they say here they quote it from Inaya. Can we take a photo and send it here for the benefit of those who want it? Are you able to do that? Won't be able to take a photo. Okay, then I'll try to see. You don't know how to take a photo. But anyway, this riwayat here in the Urdu Shara, the Shara is Ahsanul Hidayah, and it says here it's in Inaya, volume 1, page 135. And then the next thing they say here, so there we've got the hadith, and we got the Quran, and we got the Hadith, and then we got Ijma. They say here also in the Shara that um, this, 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 this amal of Tayammum from the very inception of Islam till today, nobody has objected to it, nobody has said anything against it, etc. So there is uninterrupted Ijma on it. There is uninterrupted Ijma on it. So it is 100% acceptable. Okay, we'll stop there tomorrow, inshallah. Tomorrow is Thursday. We'll start with the actual text, inshallah. Verse Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.